There's a good chance that you are overthinking how to do a CMA, so today I'm going to take you through my process of how I do a comparative market analysis. First thing you want to think about is the context of why you're doing the CMA. There's a few different reasons you might do one. Maybe somebody just wants a property valuation and they just kind of want an idea of what their property is worth. The other reason you might do one is if you're prepping for a listing appointment. So the CMA that we're going to do today, it is with the context of getting ready for a listing appointment and being ready to kind of show the property owner different values and how we want to position ourselves in the market price-wise. Got my coffee here and we are ready to go. Okay, so what I like to do is I start out with 2 tabs. So I picked a subject property, and so this is the subject. And I like to pull this up on the map right here so I know exactly where my subject is at. And then I will have a second tab open, and that will be my working tab that I am picking all my comps with. And then this way, the reason for the 2 tabs is you can switch back and forth easily between your subject and all the comparables that you're looking at. Ideally, if you can get all your data in one neighborhood, that's what you want to do. And if you can't get everything in the one specific neighborhood that the home is in, then you might have to break things out a little bit. And here is what I mean by that. So if we want to zoom in, or we zoom in on Crestview, and our subject property that we're looking at is like right here. So if we could get all of our data in this one neighborhood, and there's over 100 homes in here, so we might be able to. If we can get everything in here, that would be ideal. But if not, we may have to break out a little bit, and we'll kind of discuss that when we get there. As far as amount of homes that we want to look for, when I'm bringing comps to a listing appointment, I bring 6 at the max. So I'll bring 2 active, 2 pending, and 2 sold. And I really don't do more than that because it's just not necessary. Got to get that coffee in my blood. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to trace out our neighborhood that we want. Okay, so let's draw a polygon around our neighborhood. Okay, and we are going to switch this over to list to see what we got. Okay, and there's a couple in here. There's 2. Okay, there's 2 3-bedrooms and there's 1 4-bedroom. So if you go back over to our subject is a 3-bed. So we do not want to compare 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. So that 4th bedroom is going to get a premium price, even at a very same or similar square footage. So you really don't want to compare the 2. So 3 beds to 3 beds and 4 beds to 4 beds. So our subject is a 3-bedroom. So that's what we're going to roll with. And luckily we have 2 actives that we can work with here. So we have both of them are over 2,300 square foot. And what we can do, let's see, our subject is 2,170, so almost 2,200, so a little over 100 square foot larger, but that is totally fine. Okay, so we're just going to grab those 2. Okay, then we're going to go back to edit search. And next thing we want to look for is our pendings. So we want to look to see if there's anything under contract. Okay, so there's nothing under contract in this neighborhood at all. So what we want to do in that scenario is kind of break things out a little bit. You have to look a little bit beyond just straight up distance, like as the crow flies. There's no set rule, like, you can't look at a comp if it's more than this far away, or, if it's more than a mile away or whatever. But what you want to do is kind of think about the homes that you're looking at through the eyes of a potential buyer, right? So I know that somebody looking in this neighborhood, there's a possibility that they may only want to buy in that neighborhood, but the more realistic possibility is that they are just looking for something that's a newer build and is on the south side of Crestview, right? So the big thing that people are looking for on the south side of Crestview is a shorter-ish commute down to Eglin. So for me, when I'm looking at comps, I might look at this area right here, but what I'm not going to do is compare anything to the north side. I'm not going to be looking at anything up here. That's just too far. All right, so what I want to do is grab my polygon tool, and I'm going to expand my area just to this southwest corner of Crestview. Okay, and so now I want to look at what's under contract, and just want to do 3 beds. Okay, and what do we have left? Okay, so we're going to click over to the list, see what we got. Okay, so this, I'm glad this came up right here. So this one right here, this townhouse. Okay, this townhouse, not only is it not comparable because it's a townhouse and we are looking at single family residence, but this is also not going to be a comparable because this is a 2-story home. One thing you don't want to do is compare 2-story homes to 1-story homes. A 1-story home is typically always going to have a better value. It's just a bigger footprint. People don't like stairs, so we're not gonna deal with that one at all. So we can go back to the edit search. You can either just ignore it in the list, or you can add a field. Number of stories, maximum 1. Okay, and then go back to the list. That'll pull that out. We want to find 2 homes that are as close as possible to the subject. So let's see. One thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the year built of the subject. So this is 2009. So what we want to do is go back to edit search, and we want to do year built. We don't want to do too far away. So maximum year built, we'll do 5 years. So we'll do a 2014 build to a 2004 build. Okay, so that got our results down to 3. Let's see what that looks like. All right, the 3 we have here are quite a bit smaller. This one looks like it could be close to a comp, so we'll just click on that for now. I'm actually going to go back to the search, and I'm going to pull out the year. I'm just going to visually eyeball it and just kind of ignore the date for now and just look at, physically, appearance-wise, which homes are the most similar. So I only need one, obviously. Okay, this one is not a good example, right? It's much older and it has a vinyl siding on the outside. Okay, I'm going to take a look at this one right here. No, that's not quite right. What I'm going to do now is try to find something that's similar in square footage. Okay, so we got 2170 on our subject. So let's do 2400 to 2000. Okay, we got one. Let's take a look at that. Right here. Okay, so a 3.2. Okay, it's a bit older in 2006. Okay, there's not a ton of data that we have available to us with pendings right now. One of the reasons for that is because we're in a bit of a shifting market right now and things have just slowed down a ton. So we can still use this as an example. It still gives us, a 3.2, close-ish to the year. This comp isn't perfect, but it's enough to serve as a reference point when we go to sit down with the homeowner. Reason I'm picking this one is because, again, in the beginning I was saying you're probably overthinking it. And this is one of the reasons why. We're not always going to have perfect data. You're not always going to have great comps. And sometimes you just have to work with what you got. So we are going to click select on that one. I just want to kind of look through the pictures real quick. Okay, so we grabbed that one for now and we're going to run with it. we have, if you click over to our selected, what we have right now, so we have 2 active, 2 pending, okay? And we were not able to get pending out of the neighborhood, and so now we're going to go for our 2 sold listings that we need. So I'm going to go back to edit search, and we're first going to try to go back to our original neighborhood. So I'm going to delete that polygon for now. We are back to our original neighborhood here, and we want to go sold, and we want to do a sold date of something in the last 6 months. So I'm going back to April 15th right here, and we only have 1 result available. So what I'm going to do is remove our criteria for our approximate square footage and see if that gives us any more. Okay, so that gives us quite a few more options, and we're going to check the list, see what we got. Okay. All right, so we have quite a bit here that's similar. So when there's this many options to choose from, what I like to do is go back and just try to find the most recent 2 sales. When you're trying to get good data, usually the most recent data is going to be the best. So I'm just going to kind of go back. I'm just going to go back a few months until I get 2. Okay, and I just happened to guess, went back to August, and now we have 2 possibilities. So this one right here and that one right there. I love you. Bye, cutie. All right, so you got your 6 here, your 2 active, your 2 pending, and your 2 sold. And all I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do the CMA button. And there's a little tool in here that will actually build out a CMA for this. And you can put in the subject and all that. I will do that if I'm going to send that to somebody, like send an email to somebody that wanted a property evaluation. That's when I would use that CMA button. But if I'm just doing this to bring data to somebody for a listing appointment, I'm just going to press print right here, and I'm going to just print out those 6 listings. Here, press that, kicks it out into a PDF. Okay, open this up. And then I'm going to print this out, and this is what I'll actually bring to the listing appointment. Okay, so I have the listings right here. So we got all of our comps right here, and we're going to go through all of these with the homeowner. Now, when you're at your listing appointment and you're sitting down with these listings, talking with the homeowner, you want to look at beyond just the price. You want to look at the other context clues on here. You want to talk about the days on market. And specifically when you're looking at the active listings, you want to take the 2 active listings and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we put your home on the market today, these are the homes that your home is going to be competing against. So you look at your home and you look at these homes on the market, look at the square footage, look at the outside condition, have they done any upgrades? Look at the prices for those homes and see how long these have been sitting on the market. If you want your home to sell, you need to be positioned in a way where your home is more attractive to buy compared to those other 2. Then the second thing we want to go through is the pending listings. And when you're going through the pending listings, you want to say, okay, look, here's where they were priced at. Here's the square footage. Here's how long they sat on the market. Okay. This was the original list price. And, for example, this one was on the market for 41 days. You want to also look up the average days on market for that area. Did this home sit on the market abnormally long, or was this home on the market for just, a couple days, 3-4 days? A year ago, that was completely the normal to sit on the market for 3-4 days and get an offer. And right now, where things have slowed down a little bit, that is a little bit abnormal. So if the house is in really nice condition and it's priced really well, you still could get an offer in a couple days. But if you look at the average days on market, right now the average is for a home to be sitting around 20-25 days. So when you're having that conversation, you got to also look at what's the norm for right now, and how were these homes positioned competition-wise when they went on the market. Lastly, you're going over that sold data with the homeowner, and when you're going over this information, you got to think about, this is what the appraiser is going to be looking at. Anybody can get a house under contract at a certain price, but getting it actually closed at that price is a totally different story. So you got to think, what is realistic? What is the information that the appraiser is going to be looking at? how can we position ourselves in a way that is not only going to make sense and be competitive and actually get an offer, but in a way where we're actually going to be able to get an appraisal at that same price and get the house closed. And that's everything that I'm thinking about when I'm doing a CMA. Again, I'm not overthinking this. I'm using this just to try to get a range of values to talk to the homeowner about. One thing you don't want to do is sit there and spend a ton of time trying to figure out what's the exact number that this house is going to sell at. There's no point in doing that because you just don't know. It's just not possible to predict the exact dollar number that the house is going to sell at. So don't do it. What you should do is you should get a range, right? Get a range of values of what you think the house should sell at, and then you get all your data and you go and you talk with the homeowners and say, hey, here's what's happening with the actives, here's what's happening with the pendings, here's what's happening with the sold. Based off of all this information, I think the house is going to sell from somewhere between this amount and this amount. And then you go through and say, if we price on the high end, here's what could happen. House could sit on the market for a while. And ask the seller, say, put yourself in a buyer's shoes. When you see a home that's been sitting on the market for a really long time, what do you think? The first thing we think is, well, what's wrong with that house, right? So the flip side of that is, if you position yourself here on the lower end, we have a much better chance of getting an offer sooner and hopefully even multiple offers, ideally multiple offers. And what you can do is go back to those agents, then compete them against each other, negotiate for the best deal for your client, and then you win. Let's see. If they do want to price their home on the higher end of the spectrum, which is something that happens a lot, you want to have this conversation with them. You say, hey, that's okay if you want to do that. And here's the average days on market right now. Let's say the average days on market is 15 days before a house gets an offer. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if the home sits on the market for 15 days at that price and hasn't got an offer yet, are you willing to drop the price? Is that something that you want to do to get this house sold? Don't be afraid to have that conversation. It's a conversation that you need to have because that's our job as a real estate agent, is to get homes sold, right? So you can price a house at whatever you want, but that's not always how a house is going to get sold. You need to be very honest and upfront with people you're working with and saying, hey, if the house doesn't get an offer at this price in this amount of time, this is what we have to do to get an offer. And that's your job as a real estate agent. If this video was helpful for you, please press thumbs up. And if you're getting ready for that listing appointment and you need to do a seller's net sheet and you want to do one the correct and easy way that makes sense to people, make sure you go ahead and watch this video real quick. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.